With many cryptos continuing to make higher highs, there is a perception that people are holding on for dear life, otherwise known as hodling, their coins. But new data from leading crypto payment processor CoinPayments shows that this might no longer be the case. Since the first quarter of 2019, CoinPayments is tracking a 300% growth in payment transactions using crypto in North America alone. Here to talk about the findings on StansberryInvestor.com is Frank Holmes. He's the CEO of US Global Investors. He's also the chairman of Hive Blockchain. Frank, always good to be with you.
It's great to be with you, Daniela.
Yeah, so these findings shocked me, at least, Frank, to see the growing trend of people actually spending their crypto. One of the stats shows that actually Bitcoin, the most expensive cryptocurrency, is one of the most commonly used coins to transact. Does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't. Because when platforms like PayPal last year allow people to buy a fraction, and according to Metcalfe's law, this was a big part of the boom. Supply of Bitcoin dropped last year with production. It was called the halving. And then PayPal comes along and you can open your account and you can buy. So people can turn around and use that. Now my Bitcoin's gone up dramatically. I can buy something else with it. And that millennial is used to doing that. If they're good at crypto games, in that game, they would get a digital money and they would turn around and upgrade with that. The better you were at those playing those video games, the more digital money you receive. And they would always be spending that. And so I think it's just part of that millennial shift coming in. And the fact technology allows you to buy a fractal of the stock, such as Apple. You don't have to buy the whole share, you can buy a fraction. And that's been a big boom to the Robinhood investors.
It's really interesting, and I guess it goes back to the original debate surrounding cryptos as, are they a currency? Obviously they were originally envisioned and created with the intent of being a replacement for cash. Are they a store of wealth? But with Bitcoin making higher highs, I guess a lot of people are thinking, why would I spend my Bitcoin if next week it might be up another 10,000?
Yeah, especially my age. We would go buy gold as a long-term investment for portfolio and hold on to it. But that digital world, that millennial, it's a different world. And it's really appreciating how things are going to change, because if you look at big macro data, we're going to have $10 trillion of baby boomers. My age is going to be transferred over to millennials over the next 25 years. That's a big number. And their spending patterns and what they look for is very different, such as ESG footprint for investing. That's important. That was never important in my era. Good corporate governance was, and clean environment, but nothing like an ESG footprint. So the world is changing.
I also want to share some other data from CoinPayments, because they were kind enough to share this data with me, that people are actually making larger transactions. So as the months and years go by, people are actually making larger purchases with their cryptos. And the leading sectors for these transactions are e-commerce and financial and online services. Does this surprise you?
No, because it's perfect for PayPal of the world. It's like a central app for people. I can make an investment. I can turn around and use that to buy for other goods. And I believe it's going to trend higher. So I buy now, and then I'll be able to use it to buy that car or that television or Amazon. So I think it's a brand new world we're living in, and it's recognizing how that shift is taking place.
So Frank, for you, it's really generational. From what I'm hearing from you, the millennials have obviously bought in, but how about the older generation? Do you think that we'll see a kind of a movement towards crypto, or will it be harder to change their opinions and point of view on it?
Well, what we did see early was a lot of the investors that came into Hive Blockchain.
Yeah.
It was a proxy for those that wanted my age, that want to speculate in crypto, but they were reluctant to go and buy a Bitcoin on an exchange because of hackers. Now they don't have to worry about that. They can use PayPal to go do that. And so I think that is a big transition. But I do think that the millennials will look at things at a higher velocity for trading and using for buying things with than my age will. You also see that for investing. that their time horizon is 1 year. What used to be a mutual fund investors was like 7 years, 20 years ago. It's now down to 3.5. ETFs are within a year. So that idea, what they call the velocity of turnover, has changed as more millennials have come into trading ETFs, trading stocks, and using Bitcoin and Ethereum to make transactions. We're also seeing institution sponsorship, such as Mellon Bank now offering custody if you want to own Bitcoin. These are all big sea changes that are going to continue to grow. And I think Ethereum is also seeing, because we mine Ethereum, and we're the only crypto mining company mining Ethereum and Bitcoin, we get a lot of these transactions that are accelerating in Ethereum as a higher velocity. So we have seen huge gains in profits from Ethereum explosion of being used.
And Frank, I'm curious to get your thoughts on stable coins versus the cryptocurrencies.
So stable coins, for simplicity, is like a money market fund. It was the idea of having something that was stable. Money market funds really were the platform that allowed mutual funds to grow massively from the 80s and 90s, was because of money market funds. And a third of all mutual funds were money market funds that earned a higher yield. So the stable coin comes along as the crypto-like money, and they predominantly use Ethereum protocol. So the demand for banks coming out like JP Morgan with a stable coin and it growing is only beneficial to the Ethereum pricing action. So that's the relationship. Like you look at silver is highly correlated to use for solar panels, because 20% of the silver demand now is solar panels.
I'm curious, just one more thought on the cryptos before we talk jets here. You as an investor, Frank, how much do you allocate, or do you think is a good allocation to have in a portfolio, or to spend, or wealth preservation? How do you make that distinction and decision?
I think that inflation is greatly understated when you follow John Williams' work, and if you use the algorithm used in 1980 to measure inflation and use it today, inflation is 9%. I know the cost of food, I know the cost of gas, I know I can give you a whole list of things that have actually gone up dramatically, along with an iPhone. So I believe it's greatly understated, and I think that gold and crypto are important asset classes, always a 10% weighting in gold, and I would probably increase it to 15%, which I would use silver and silver stocks, because the $1.9 trillion, a big part's going to be green spending, and green needs copper and it needs silver for that, all that green spending. So I remain bullish there, and I think 2% weighting in crypto is very, very wise as being an early adopter to a sea change that's taking place.
Let's talk jets now, passing the 4 billion market cap. Is that correct, Frank?
That's correct.
Wow.
If you follow Bloomberg, you can see the data every year. And but it was, for us, it was remarkable, because this time last year it was 40 million, and now it's 4 billion. And it's gone from trading 35,000 shares a day to 3.5 million. No, there's a big enthusiasm in America in particular, as the vaccines, as the penetration of vaccines are rising and rising, more people want to get into New York and get to Florida. And you're seeing airlines all of a sudden going from smaller cities in Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, Illinois, Indiana, going south. And that is, it shows up in data, because the TSA publishes every day how many people they clear. And it was at 2.7 million. It fell to 90,000 April the 15th a year ago. And now it's 1.3 million. It's at a 52-week high.
Well, continued success with that. And for those unfamiliar with jets, it's your ETF focused around the aviation industry with various aviation stocks in it. So best of luck with that, Frank.
Well, thank you. And those who are short, and they're going to be in a difficult position, because people want to get out of the cold and the clouds.
Well, I saw Kevin O'Leary saying he was shorting it.
He's off by about 15%. But I think it trades higher. Business travel, he's right. Business travel is not going to come back for a while because we're going to all Zoom it, etc. But if we get back to the 1.7 million, 2 million people of tourism traveling, that will be profitable. The airlines are saying they're going to get to positive free cash flow faster.
Frank Holmes of US Global Investors and the chairman of Hive Blockchain, thank you so much for joining us here on StansberryInvestor.com.
Happy investing.
And thank you for watching. We'll have much more for you. In the meantime, share us where you watch us. I'm Daniela Cambone.